So these Sparking Zero brain cells, these Dragon Ball Sparking Zero Glazers, still haven't gotten it through their thick skulls about the GT characters, the Dragon Ball Z movie characters, or the OG Dragon Ball characters. We are still talking about those characters, even though we already have proof that those characters are not making it into the game. We got the reveal of the Dragon Ball Z Boo arc later this month in September, and in October, the final release culmination trailer being the remainder of Dragon Ball Super. We already know the final reveals for this game, and there is literally no space for Dragon Ball GT, the Dragon Ball Z movies, or the OG Dragon Ball characters. But I see one thing that these Sparking Zero Glazers are clinging to. This whole notion that the developers are holding back Dragon Ball GT in the movies and the OG Dragon Ball characters because they want to surprise the community with those characters. I'm going to be shattering that lie in today's video because it makes zero sense. So hit that subscribe button for the end game of all games, perfection and natural selection. We're going to get right into it. So these people have been clinging to the notion that the developers and the publishing companies care about surprising them with characters in 2024. Now, I'm going to explain this from a business position, right? And this is just going to prove that GT characters and movie characters and OG Dragon Ball are not making it into Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And it's just common sense. It's just common sense. Is when you use cognitive thought, anything that they can use to push pre-order sales, if it's in the game, they're going to advertise it. This makes no sense from an advertising standpoint because they want pre-orders high as they can be. If GT or movie characters or OG Dragon Ball were in this game, they would advertise it and they would blow it out of proportion. 100,000%, because it's an asset and a tool to promote this game, and it would take attention off the glitches. So these people who are saying no, they're saving it for us, they want to save it as a surprise, they want to save it to the very last bit so they can surprise the community. Get out of your ultra ego, get off of your high horse. They do not care about surprising you. They care about deceiving people and making money. So if they can make money and they can push those pre-orders by going ahead and announcing what people care about the most, which is Dragon Ball GT and the movie characters and OG Dragon Ball and Fasha and Chilai and Coquette, they're going to go ahead and announce those characters because it would do what? It would push pre-order sales. It would push pre-order numbers, and that's what they want to do because that's important to the stockholders in Bandai Namco. And again, they got to make this paper because Bandai Namco is not doing well right now. The only thing that is keeping them afloat is, I think, One Piece games and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. No cap. That is the only thing keeping them afloat. So they need Sparking Zero to just be out of this world as far as financial pursuits. So for everyone that is spreading that notion that they're holding things back as a surprise, do not believe those lies. Dragon Ball GT is not in the game. And let me explain now. Well, why would GT not be in the game? Why are they being secretive about GT? Why are they not just directly telling people that GT and the movies and OG Dragon Ball are not going to be in the game? Let me explain to you the little technique that they're using here, okay? They're not saying anything about it because they want to show you everything else in the game before they disappoint you. Now, if they go ahead and tell you that GT is not going to be in the game, they tell you that verbally, then they know that a lot of people are just going to turn their backs on this game because, hey, it's like, well, GT is over there in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and to a limited degree, GT is over there in Dragon Ball FighterZ. I don't have to pay attention to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero if they're not going to have the movie characters or the GT characters or the OG Dragon Ball characters or the Fasha or the Chilai, because again, there's other games that have those characters. They don't even have Vados or Champa. Again, these are characters that matter because again, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty, it's the exact same Dragon Ball Arena fighter. Probably worse than Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and the only thing that this game has as a claim to fame is the candy color graphics. Everything else they have advertised has been pathetic. I mean, the destroying the Earth has been pathetic because it's only one stage on in the game that you can do that on. Additionally, you have tons of bugs and glitches. The combat system is disappointing. So they need anything they can have to sell this game. And the roster would be a selling point if you didn't have 20 Gokus, 20 Vegetas, and most of them are just base form clones. You have 20 Gohans, most of them are clones. You have 20 Trunkses, and most of those are clones. And you're not even getting the characters who would want to be extras of the Gokus and the Vegetas and the Trunkses as GT variants. So this game is screwing up all across the board. Again, they want to show you everything else in the game to say, well, hold on, we gave you all this other stuff. Are you really gonna let GT piss you off that bad? Yes, it's happened several times. People want GT. Well, the story, people don't like the story. Look, a lot of people like the story of Dragon Ball GT, but to those people that don't like the story, there are people that might not like the story and they still messes with the character designs. They still want to play with Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, Baby. They still want to play with Omega and Sin Shenron, all the Shenron characters. Again, people are tired of the by the numbers Dragon Ball Arena game where you don't have a complete GT roster, because that isn't, people are tired of that. That's why a lot of people have left the Dragon Ball community or the Dragon Ball games community, because there's no progression. And now they know that GT is not going to be in this game because, again, they're not going to be secretive about something that could be a tool to them to sell and push their game. That logically makes sense. They're going to use anything in the kitchen sink to sell Dragon Ball Spark Zero. So if the movies were in the game, guess what? You have had movie trailers. They would have probably gotten to that way before they got to the Dragon Ball Super stuff, because they know people love characters like Cooler, Janemba, Z Broly. They know that those are the major characters that you have to have in every game, and they don't have them. Why? Because they were probably told by Bandai Namco to focus on Dragon Ball Super. Well, Dragon Ball Super is a controversial series that a lot of people are 50-50 on. They don't really like. It's worse than GT, to be honest. There are some key points that people like in Dragon Ball Super, but that over GT, no. People want GT. People want their Super Saiyan 4. People don't messes with the Super Saiyan Skittles transformations, and the only thing that they pretty much like from it is Ultra Instinct. That's it. And then you're not getting to the Dragon Ball Super portion that people really want to talk about, which is the Moro arc, the Granola arc, the recent arc that took place, the Dragon Ball Super Superhero redo arc. They want to get to progression in Dragon Ball games, and they're not getting that. They're not going to be getting it. So when they get to October with that final pre-release culmination trailer, and they show you all of Dragon Ball Super, the parts of Dragon Ball Z that they decided to cover, they're going to say to you, are you really going to not buy because of Dragon Ball Z movies? Not the lack of OG Dragon Ball and the lack of GT? And people are going to say universally, yes, we are not going to buy this game, especially when you've already mapped out the Season 1 DLC pass is going to take up all of 2025. And they're going to say, no, we don't want this game. You're retreading old ground, and you're using Dragon Ball Daima, which could be a hit or a miss. It's not even a full-on series. It's a mini-series that's going to take place for like 3 months. So yeah, this game is cooked. And there is not going to be Dragon Ball GT or Dragon Ball.
I'm angry!
By my hatred, the Super Saiyan within me erupted to life!
Let's see if you can keep up!
Let me show you! I don't care how strong you think you are. I am going to win!
Again, no company promotes
that's what you want.
Back.
And I'm not gonna waste any time.
I'm quite eager to see how you've been training in the afterlife.
Announcing that this is because it's they can't get ahead.
This is what I call Super Saiyan 3.
You better be ready to kill me.
For you to go this way, you must have wanted to settle the score real fast, huh, Vegeta?
They'll do that, sure, but they're not gonna hold back.
I will defeat you this day.
So
this Super Saiyan God's hour.
This is the end game of all games. You might beat the game, but you never beat the game. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you later in the next video. Peace.